सफीर पाकिस्तान, आपके जज्बों का तर्जुमान। वतन से दूर, वतन की आवाज और आपकी पहचान। सफीर पाकिस्तान।
Pakistan will need our help to rebuild.
हर जगह, हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है। बिस्मिल्लाहिर्रहमानिर्रहीम, अस्सलाम वालेकुम नाज़रीन, आपका मेज़बान वक़रीर ख़ान प्रोग्राम सफीर पाकिस्तान के साथ हाजिर खिदमत है। कई एक कैसे मिजाज हैं, मुझे उम्मीद है कि आप प्रोग्राम पाबंदी से देख रहे होंगे। और हाँ, मैं आपको रमज़ान की भी मुबारकबाद पेश करना चाहूँगा। मुझे उम्मीद है कि आपके रोज़े बहुत अच्छे गुजर रहे होंगे और आपकी इबादत भी अच्छी हो रही होगी। आजकल मसाजिद में रौनक है और आजकल तो शहरियों में भी दावतें शुरू हो चुकी हैं। काफ़ी पार्टीज़ और इवेंट जो है लोग मिलजुल के बैठ रहे हैं सहरी के मौके पे। और मेरा भी एक जगह जाना हुआ सहरी के मौके पे, जहाँ गरम गरम पराठे और चाय और अंडे और अच्छा नाश्ता मिला। बड़ी खुशी की बात है कि लोग इस तरीके से मोहब्बत से मिलजुल रहे हैं। नाज़रीन, आज का प्रोग्राम हमेशा की तरह भरपूर और मालूमाती है। आज हम एक नहायती अहम तरीन प्रोग्राम लेकर आए हैं जो पाकिस्तान से रिलेटेड है, और वह है पाकिस्तान की इमर्जिंग इकोनॉमी पे। हमने ये प्रोग्राम एयर किया था, लेकिन बहुत मुख्तसरन एयर किया था क्योंकि टाइम की कमी थी और बहुत कुछ इस प्रोग्राम में हमने डालना था। और लोगों के बेहद इसरार पे हम ये प्रोग्राम आपको आज दिखा रहे हैं, जिसमें फॉर्मर गवर्नर ऑफ स्टेट बैंक ऑफ पाकिस्तान जनाब इशरत हुसैन साहब लॉस एंजलिस तशरीफ़ लाए थे, और जिसको पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन फाउंडेशन और पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स के कोलैबोरेशन से इस प्रोग्राम को ऑर्गेनाइज़ किया गया था, जिसमें कौंसल जनरल ऑफ पाकिस्तान जनाब जब्बार मेमन की सरपरस्ती शामिल हाल थी। इस मौके पे पाकिस्तानी एंटरप्रेन्योर और बिजनेसमैन की बड़ी तादाद ने इसमें शिरकत की, जिसमें नजीब गौरी, शोएब कोठावाला, फ़खरी साहब और अहमद अली साहब और मुख्तलिफ दीगर ताजरों ने शिरकत की। और मैं समझता हूँ कि ये प्रोग्राम बहुत ही इम्पॉर्टेंट था, बहुत ही मालूमाती था, और आज मैं ये प्रोग्राम पेश कर रहा हूँ जिसमें इंक्लूडेड है इशरत हुसैन का ख़िताब और उनकी स्पीच शामिल हाल है। इसके अलावा ऑफकोर्स कौंसल जनरल ऑफ पाकिस्तान जनाब नजीब गौरी साहब, नेटसोल के चेयरमैन एंड CEO, जो कि अब लाहौर में मुकीम है लेकिन कंपनी उनकी ग्लोबल है, और जनाब शोएब कोठावाला भी उस प्रोग्राम में शामिल थे। तो ये प्रोग्राम जो है एक्चुअली डिफ़ाइन कर रहा है कि वेयर पाकिस्तान गोइंग इकनॉमिक वाइज, डेवलपमेंट वाइज, प्रोग्रेस वाइज। इसमें इशरत हुसैन और डिपार्टमेंट ऑफ कॉमर्स के जो डायरेक्टर हैं उन्होंने भी काफ़ी डिटेल में डिफ़ाइन किया है कि व्हाट गोइंग ऑन इन पाकिस्तान, पाकिस्तान के आदाद शुमार किधर जा रहे हैं, पाकिस्तान की जो है डेवलपमेंट इकनॉमिक साइड पे, एग्रीकल्चर साइड पे, बिज़नेस साइड पे किधर जा रही है। तो इसको पूरा उन्होंने जो है समअप किया है, और मैं समझता हूँ कि ये बहुत ही मालूमाती डिटेल है जिसमें लोगों का भी पार्टिसिपेशन है। और मैं समझता हूँ कि चाइना और पाकिस्तान के ताल्लुकात के हवाले से और चाइना कॉरिडोर जो डेवलप हो रहा है, जिससे बहुत सारे प्रोजेक्ट ख़ुद पैदा हो रहे हैं, तो उस पर उन्होंने तफसील से रोशनी डाली है। आइए हम मिलकर देखते हैं ये प्रोग्राम, जिसको ऑफकोर्स कोऑर्डिनेटेड बाय पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स एंड पाकिस्तानी अमेरिकन फाउंडेशन और कौंसल जनरल ऑफ पाकिस्तान। तो आइए हम सब मिलकर देखते हैं ये मालूमाती और इंफॉर्मेटिव प्रोग्राम फॉर यू गाइस। हर जगह, हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है।
Kaba Fusion. We are a respected national and regional provider of home infusion services in California and the surrounding states.
काबा फ्यूजन एक होम इन्फ्यूजन कंपनी है और मैं उसका CEO हूँ। मेरा नाम डॉक्टर सोहेल मसूद है। हमारे 7 ऑफिसेज हैं नेशन वाइड अमेरिका में, लॉस एंजलिस, डैलस, शिकागो, फिलाडेल्फिया, न्यू जर्सी, मैसाचुसेट और मायामी फ्लोरिडा में। अगर आपको किसी तरह की भी होम इन्फ्यूजन सर्विसेज की ज़रूरत है, जिसमें IV, एंटीबायोटिक्स, TPN, पेन मैनेजमेंट, हम वो आपको घर पे प्रोवाइड कर सकेंगे और हमारी नर्सेज जाके आपको सर्विसेज देंगी।
Kaba Fusion is a pharmacist-owned, patient-focused infusion company with 20 years of experience in specialty infusion therapy, such as immune globulin, antibiotics, and TPN. Our pharmacists, nurses, reimbursement specialists, and courteous customer representatives work together to provide patients with safe and reliable care.
Kaba Fusion लीडर है होम इन्फ्यूजन सर्विसेज प्रोवाइड करने में अमेरिका में, और इसकी सर्विसेज मानी जाती हैं और इसके जो नाम है वो अर्न्स्ट एंड यंग के एंटरप्रेन्योर ऑफ द ईयर अवार्ड में शामिल है।
Kaba Fusion provides the medications, pumps, IV supplies, and administrative support required for a complete infusion experience.
शाहनवाज हलाल तंदूरी रेस्टोरेंट का एक और धमाका, खुला डुल्ला ओपन बारबेक्यू हर इतवार को पाइनएप्पल अवार्ड लिटिल इंडिया में जरूर जाइए। शाहनवाज का ओपन बारबेक्यू जूसी, मजेदार, चटखारेदार, जरूर जाइए और अपनी फैमिली को भी ले जाइए। ओपन बारबेक्यू एट शाहनवाज हलाल तंदूरी रेस्टोरेंट।
Now the home of your dreams is within your reach. Astoria, where luxury meets convenience. Situated in the picturesque location of Bani Gala, Islamabad, offering the most breathtaking and exquisite views of Rawal Lake and the Margala Hills. Conveniently placed within 15 minutes of all major locations in Islamabad. Modern construction technology redefined. Rooftop lounges and gardens. Infinity swimming pools. Cafe and restaurant with meals prepared by a gourmet chef. Backup generators, all covered by 24-hour CCTV security. Come and live the ultimate resort life. Astoria.
आ रहा है बड़ी धूमधाम से पहली बार लॉस एंजलिस की तारीख में द किंग ऑफ म्यूजिक, द आरिफ लाहौर, जुगनी का बादशाह। पाकिस्तान की 70 साल आज़ादी के मौके पे सफीर पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स की फखरिया पेशकश 12 अगस्त बरोज हफ्ता। आज ही कॉल करें अपने बूथ की बुकिंग के लिए, एडवर्टाइजिंग और स्पॉन्सरशिप के लिए। पेश करते हैं पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स और सफीर पाकिस्तान, द किंग ऑफ म्यूजिक, द आरिफ लाहौर। हर जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है।
Assalamu alaikum and good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I would like to begin by thanking the Woodrow Wilson Center, the American Pakistan Foundation, NetSol, Pakistan American Chamber of Commerce for organizing this panel discussion on Pakistan's emerging economy. I would also like to convey my sincerest thanks to Dr. Ishrat Hussain, Mr. Najib Ghauri, Mayor Artisha Mr. Ali Sajjad Taj, Mr. Waqar Ali Khan, and other distinguished dignitaries for being here with us and taking time out of their busy schedule to join us. Ladies and gentlemen, today's topic under discussion is particularly relevant. Pakistan's successful completion of the recent IMF program makes this a good time to deliberate upon next steps to be taken to ensure that the gains are consolidated, the phase of structural reforms which are to follow are smoothly incorporated, and the growth trajectory is shifted to higher levels. Pakistan, a country of 200 million, has witnessed numerous ups and downs during its brief post-independence history of under 70 years. Any discussion on the economy of Pakistan must take into consideration the peculiar nature of challenges Pakistan has faced in recent years, ranging from natural disasters to negative externalities generated by regional geopolitical instabilities. Most significantly, in recent past, the Afghan War, the War on Terror, and the aftermath have all impacted on the facets of life in Pakistan and have taken a heavy toll on the very fabric of society and the economy. It's also important to recognize the resilience that the country, the people, and the economy have shown in the face of all these daunting challenges.
Pakistan has 15 registered firms in the global IT industry. 10,000 IT grads enter the market annually. There are a number of Pakistani software applications that have won international awards. So there's a lot there. And yet, despite this happy story that I'm telling here, and it is a happy story, there are obstacles, considerable obstacles, to taking full advantage of this youth bulge. Consider some troubling figures. Only about 15% of 15 to 29-year-old Pakistanis have completed secondary school. Less than 6% have received technical and vocational education or training. 30% of them are illiterate, which is perhaps not surprising when you consider that 40 million of Pakistan's 70 million 5 to 19-year-olds are not attending school. So in effect, you've got the numbers for the job market, but so many of these folks are simply not competitive or marketable for the job market. And even among those many young Pakistanis that are competitive in the job market, and there's so many of them that are, obviously, they face obstacles as well. Economists have estimated that the country will require nearly 10% growth to successfully employ the country's under 20 population. And yet we know GDP has risen in recent years, but it's nowhere near 10%. So the upshot here is that Pakistan's human capital has vast potential, which I think we should all be highlighting, and yet we also need to acknowledge the challenges and the pitfalls in that regard. So I'll conclude now, or I'll begin to conclude just by very briefly saying a few words about the important role that I really think that the diaspora, the Pakistani diaspora, can and should play in the U.S.-Pakistan relationship. Both the U.S. and Pakistani governments have long sought to capitalize on Pakistani Americans to help boost relations between the two countries. Pakistani Americans, after all, are a natural bridge for obvious reasons: familiarity with and understanding of both countries, considerable skills and expertise that can be shared with people in Pakistan. I think that in the context of U.S.-Pakistan relations, the greatest value of the Pakistani diaspora in the U.S. lies not in trying to stabilize the political aspects of the official government-to-government relationship, but rather in facilitating and intensifying the unofficial people-to-people relationships that can build trust and help boost overall relations. These are sentiments that are much less pronounced in the unofficial people-to-people relations. So to conclude, in my view, there's never been a more important time to be doubling down on the unofficial U.S.-Pakistan relationship. And that's because, quite frankly, these are very challenging times for the overall U.S.-Pakistan relationship. Bilateral relations are not in deep crisis, as they were, for example, in 2011 or 2012. But let's be very clear that the official U.S.-Pakistan relationship is poised to experience a period, perhaps an extended period, of drift. And I think the tension points are the same, they've always been, but I think it's a bit different now due to the fact that Washington, which in my view is not a good thing, tends to view Pakistan through the lens of Afghanistan. The U.S. is no longer fighting a combat war in Afghanistan, and hence is not as keen, or won't be as keen, to engage with Pakistan on such broad levels, which I think is not a good thing. So U.S.-Pakistan relations could be downgraded significantly in the coming months and years. So in this type of climate, unofficial U.S.-Pakistan relations become so much more important, and the role of the diaspora in helping maintain goodwill between the people of both countries and in helping contribute to Pakistan's economic development to help take advantage of its emerging economy status has never been more essential. So thank you.
Panelists, distinguished guests, ladies and gentlemen, assalamu alaikum and good afternoon. Thanks very much to the American Pakistan Foundation and the Wilson Center for hosting this event and for our other partners for their support. You can't think about LA without thinking about the entertainment industry, but as Mr. Ghori and others have noted, Los Angeles is home to an extremely diverse economy, including growing apparel, advanced manufacturing, aerospace, biosciences, healthcare sectors, and LA, of course, is a very diverse city in general, including, as I learned in preparation for this speech, the second largest Pakistani American community in the United States. There is undeniably an atmosphere of optimism and entrepreneurship here that encourages people to realize their dreams. Turning to our topic today, Pakistan is a country I care about deeply, having served in Karachi nearly 25 years ago during my first tour in the Foreign Service. What stood out for me during those times was the incredible hospitality and energy of Pakistanis. I'm proud that the relationships that I nurtured in Pakistan over 2 decades ago remain alive and vital to this day. Such people-to-people ties are critical to helping Pakistan achieve its full potential, a principle that is at the heart of our two countries' enduring multifaceted partnership. Undeniably, the security aspects of our relationship tend to garner the greatest amount of attention. But I also want to underscore that the U.S.-Pakistan partnership is much broader than counterterrorism and security cooperation, as important as those areas are. Principally, it is about improving people's lives and building long-term and deep ties between the U.S. and Pakistan to our mutual benefit. These ties include government-to-government and military-military interactions, but would be incomplete without people-to-people, university-to-university, and business-to-business linkages as well. And I'm going to talk about all of those. At the government-to-government level, the U.S. and Pakistan work closely together on shared priorities and interests, which include Pakistan's continued economic growth and prosperity, increased bilateral trade and investment, education and social development, respect for human rights and rule of law, regional stability, and, as I mentioned, countering violence and terrorism. In a lot of these areas, and particularly in the economic arena, we are seeing real progress. Pakistan has made great strides since 2013 in stabilizing its economy, and last year achieved its first ever completion of an IMF extended fund facility program. Pakistan has taken steps to liberalize its trade and investment regimes. For example, the World Bank and the Pakistan government launched a 3-year strategy in 2016 to improve the business climate, a strategy that has begun to pay off, as was highlighted in the Doing Business 2017 report, although, as other panelists have noted, much more remains to be achieved. Our governments are also working together to improve Pakistan's energy sector, which not only can accelerate the pace of promising economic developments, but also has an impact on fields like public health and well-being. Since 2009, the United States has helped add more than 2,400 megawatts to Pakistan's electrical grid, enough to provide power to more than 28 million Pakistanis. We have supported the construction and rehabilitation of hydropower dams and thermal power plants, and provided technical assistance to help Pakistan import liquefied natural gas with a U.S. company as part of the consortium. We are also strengthening business-to-business ties, including through a joint action plan to increase trade and investment between our two countries. The U.S. is already Pakistan's largest country export market, with over $5.5 billion in annual trade between our two countries. And last year, our governments convened the U.S.-Pakistan Trade and Investment Framework Agreement Council meeting in Islamabad, where we discussed increased market access for Pakistani goods in the U.S., cooperation on labor reform, and intellectual property. Our economic cooperation is not just about benefiting Pakistan, but also about expanding opportunities for American business. For example, earlier this year, General Electric delivered the first of several installments of 55 locomotives to help refurbish Pakistan railways. These locomotives are being manufactured in Erie, Pennsylvania, benefiting the U.S. economy and generating U.S. jobs. To accelerate economic growth even more, the United States is promoting entrepreneurship, youth engagement, and increased educational opportunities for Pakistan. Including women in all of these initiatives is essential for our countries to achieve their maximum potential. We know this from personal experience. From 1979 to 2007, the average American woman doubled the amount of time she spent working outside the home. Because of that additional expertise in the workforce, US GDP grew by an extra 11% during that time. According to one estimate, if the gap in women's labor force participation worldwide dropped from 48% to 29%, this would add $1.6 trillion to global GDP. And for South Asia alone, GDP would increase by over $500 billion. Unfortunately, entrenched social norms, barriers to political participation, legal restrictions, and gender-based violence continue to limit women's access to economic opportunities in Pakistan and indeed throughout the world. The Pakistani government recognizes the importance of women's inclusion, and as part of its commitment to address this, signed a 2014 bilateral memorandum of understanding with the United States on women's economic empowerment and entrepreneurship, which has made increased opportunities for women a policy focus for both our countries. Pakistan seeks to increase women in the workforce from the current level of 25% to 45% over the next 9 years. The U.S. is supporting this objective through foreign assistance programs and by promoting the work of partners that are working in women's empowerment. For example, the U.S.-Pakistan Women's Council, established in 2012 to increase women's economic partnership through employment, entrepreneurship, and market-relevant education, is run in a partnership between the State Department and American University in cooperation with members of the Pakistani American community and public and private partnerships in Pakistan. Pakistani Americans and organizations like the American Pakistan Foundation and the U.S.-Pakistan Business Council have crucial roles to play as well, whether in business, education, or simply through facilitating dialogue among key actors. Pakistani Americans are a vital link between our countries as ambassadors of mutual understanding and proponents of bilateral trade and investment and better governance. Through your words and actions, Pakistani Americans personify democratic values of human rights and women's rights, of tolerance and nonviolence. Pakistani Americans have the capacity to deliver frank messages that Pakistan needs to hear, and sometimes in ways that are more effective or better received than those coming from the US government. These messages could include that the presence of violent extremist groups in Pakistan is at least as harmful to Pakistan as it is to anyone else. That peace and economic integration in the region is the only way that Pakistan will ultimately achieve its fullest potential. That economic reform, transparency, and rule of law are critical to attracting foreign investment. That investing in education and health systems is instrumental to Pakistan's long-term future. And that creating opportunities for women and preventing violence against them can do more for Pakistan's economy and society than practically anything else. I have great confidence in the ability of the US-Pakistan relationship to persevere through challenging times. I urge all of you today to play a personal role in solidifying that relationship. Thank you for your attention, and thank you to our partners for organizing this wonderful event.
हर जगह, हर पल, आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है। नज़ारे जन्नत, हसीन वादियों में खूबसूरत घर, क्या आपका ख्वाब है? तो यह है वो प्रोजेक्ट बनी गाला इस्लामाबाद में आपका घर, हसीन और खूबसूरत रिहायशी मंसूबा, इस्लामाबाद और कर्ब जवार में कम से कम फासला, आरामदेह कुशादा, जदीद तरीन तमाम तर सहूलतों के साथ, तमाम तर आसाइशों के साथ अपने वतन में, अपने लोग में अपना घर बनाइए। राब्ता करें Concept 1 909 489 2289।
Take control of your pain. Visit us at the Imperial Valley Surgery Center. We specialize in dizziness, blurred vision, slurred speech, difficulty walking, confusion, weakness, numbness, seizures, headaches, fibromyalgia, pain disorders, neuropathic pain, work-related injuries, acute chronic low back and neck pain. Newly opened Stroke Center. Visit us today in any of our 3 locations or call 760-351-8669. On-site diagnostic testing with same-day results.
हर जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है।
It's a pleasure to be in Los Angeles, one of the most dynamic cities in the United States, and a very large Pakistani community with whom I have been interacting, and there are so many friends present here and also not present here who have made a lot of contribution to this country. I would not go into what Mr. Memnon has very eloquently pointed out about the security situation. I just wanted to disentangle the relationship between the security and economic development. In the 1990s, until 1990s, Pakistan was one of the fastest growing emerging economy among the top 10, according to the World Bank, for 40 years, growing by 6 to 6.5%. And that was also the period in which we had helped the United States in ousting the Soviets from Afghanistan. And that was also a period of great turmoil and insecurity in Pakistan. But despite that, there was a great deal of economic growth and activity. In the 1990s, on the contrary, it was a very peaceful and tranquil period in the history of Pakistan. But as far as the economy was concerned, it was a lost decade. The economic growth rates went down from 6% to less than 4% a year. So you can see there was no relationship between peace and tranquility, insecurity, and economic growth. Then in 2000 to 2007, Pakistan was again the 3rd fastest growing country after China and India, with 7.5% growth. And with foreign direct investment coming in at the rate of about $5 billion. And a 30-year bond, which is just a piece of paper, was floated in the United States, which is a very tough market, for $500 million. And it was oversubscribed 4 times for $2 billion at a price which was better than Turkey, which is an investment-grade country, compared to Pakistan, which is a sub-investment-grade country. And then 2008 to 2013, again, we had a decline in our economic growth. But for the last 3 years, while we were carrying out Zarb-e-Azab, which had, I live in Karachi, and I saw myself as to what kind of havoc the Taliban and the criminal elements had made in Karachi, the economic growth again is reviving. And this year we are going to gain 5%. So this is a lesson for the business people and investors who know better than this. High risk, high reward. Pakistan is a high risk country, but the rewards are equally high. The average corporate earnings are almost in the range, in dollar terms, not in the rupee terms, are in the range between 15% to 25%. Most of the multinational corporations who are more efficient as compared to the Pakistani listed companies like Nestle, Procter & Gamble, Rector and Benckiser, all those are earning between 25 to 26% because there is not much competition. So you have investment opportunities despite the negative image which the country has. Going forward, how do we, and as an economist, I must confess that we are very bad in forecasting. The economists are the worst people who you can rely upon for forecasting. But I'm not going to get into the forecasting, but I'll give you 5 particular attributes or characteristics of the Pakistani economy which you should keep in mind. The first, it is a market of 200 million people, out of which 60 million are in the middle class. The average per capita income is $5,000 in purchasing power parity terms, and the incomes of the middle class are more than $10,000, which is equivalent to that of some of the Southeast European countries. And the purchasing power translates into demand, and demand takes into investment, and investment takes into growth. So that is the linkage between the market size, the purchasing power, and the future growth. Second, it is a country which could not feed itself with 30 million people in 1950, today is not only self-sufficient, but is also exporting some of its agricultural products abroad. So it's not only feeding 200 million people with the same land doesn't change much, but it is self-sufficient. And the countries in the world which are self-sufficient in food, and now it is branching off in dairy products and meat, because 55% of agriculture is in the livestock and dairy, not in crops. So this is the transition which is going on from the middle class demands more meat, more milk, more dairy products, more eggs, poultry. That is the transition. The third element is the urbanization. Pakistan, if census will be held in 2017, and I can very confidently say that at least 45% to 50% of Pakistan's population will be urban population. Urban population is more sophisticated, more educated, is more productive. The transition in economy takes place when the rural labor force declines and the urban labor force increases. That is how economic transition takes place. And urbanization is that of educated youth. That's the fourth element. 50% of Pakistan's population is youthful. Youth, which are highly educated, almost a literacy rate of this population of the youth, not those from 5 to 14, but 5 to 16, but 16 to 27 onwards is high education. So this is a skill set which is imbibed in the urban organized labor force. So the demographic change of the people who are well connected, we have 120 million internet subscribers, 35 million are broadband wireless internet subscribers. The Facebook and other social media and the electronic media, which act as the watchdog and the vigilance on the excesses of the government, are extremely active in Pakistan. So if you take these factors, which are very positive factors for economic growth and poverty reduction, then you can sketch out as to the future trajectory. But as an economist, we have learned that you have to also take into account the risk factors and the challenges. And the risk factors are that here is a country, the United States of America, which is an extremely important leader in the globalization, in international trade, in technology transfer and migration. If this country tries to slide towards isolationism or towards inward-looking economic development model, then this will be a big, setback, not only to the global economy, but to the countries such as Pakistan. It is paradoxical in the World Economic Forum the representative from the US was arguing against globalization, and the president of China, which is one of the most protected countries in the world to begin with, was arguing in favor of globalization. And I think this is something which, to me, as an economist, is a matter of real concern. The second is the security situation. Every time Pakistan gets into a better security situation, which happened during the last 2 years, something or the other happens which shatters this peace and security and tranquility, which again gives rise to a lot of perceptions, travel advisories, wives telling their husbands not to go and visit Pakistan even if they were doing some business deals. That to me is a very, very big challenge for Pakistan. Although the whole country today is united, both the politicians as well as the military, but we do not know which way the security situation is going to happen. Third, along with that, is the war in Afghanistan. The NATO and the US forces have been there for 15 years. 56% of Afghanistan is in the hands of the government. 26% is contested territory, and the remaining area is in the hands of the insurgency, even after 15 years. And that has repercussions for Pakistan's own security. The fourth element is the Indo-Pakistan rivalry. We had reached a stage where we were about to normalize in 2014, before the Indian elections, that we were going to announce the normalization of trade between India and Pakistan by phasing out the negative list, and which would have given a big boost to the economy of Pakistan and also India, but that didn't happen, and today we are in a very tense situation. Now, tension on the borders, both eastern and western, are not in the interest of Pakistan. And finally, the risk is that our institutions, particularly the civilian institutions, have become much weaker, giving space to the military, which has become a very stronger institution. And that is not a very healthy sign. So we have to regain the space for the civilian institutions in order the executive branch, the judiciary, and the legislature, so that they have lost their space and they should regain it. So that is the scenario on Pakistan's economy. The second part I want to emphasize is the CPAC. This is something which is almost considered as a game changer. Considering the Pakistan's economic potential and the geostrategic location, China has taken a big plunge by committing $50 billion of new investment. This is all new investment in Pakistan, $35 billion of which is going for the energy projects, because energy shortages have actually crippled our economy very seriously for the last 7-8 years, because our export orders could not be fulfilled because there was no gas and there was no electricity and no power. So that 10,000 megawatt by 2018 will overcome these shortages. Then there's a Gwadar port development, and Gwadar is a deep sea port which will connect the Kashgar area, which is western China, with a seaport, which is Gwadar. And it goes through the highest road in the world, which is the Karakoram Highway, and it will connect. It will have two very major useful effects. It will open up the entire belt of the deprived districts of Balochistan and KPK, which are not integrated in Pakistan's economy, in the national markets. And it will give them livelihoods and incomes. Therefore, they are today a very attractive target of the extremist and fundamentalist groups. As the incomes of the youth and employment increases, their opportunity cost increases, and it will be difficult to become a recruit for the fundamentalist and extremist groups in Pakistan. Second, these two provinces have always felt that they were at a disadvantage compared to the two advanced provinces of Punjab and Sindh. They will now feel a part of a national cohesion, which is good for the country's solidarity. The element for the United States is that they should revisit their own relationship with Pakistan, and Pakistani diaspora has to play an equally important role. The United States is the reservoir of all knowledge and creativity, innovation. There's no other country in the world. And 21st century is a century for knowledge economy. We have a youthful population, but they cannot do anything unless they're equipped with the tools, the education, and training. And the leaders of those will be trained in the United States. 2/3 of the world's top universities are located here. 70% of the Nobel Prize winners are located in the United States. 40% of all R&D expenditure is taking place in the United States. You take lasers, you take artificial intelligence, you take robotics, you take genomics, any new field, the leadership is in the United States. And Pakistan has to take advantage of this by sending its students, faculty members, excellence in research centers, research collaboration. That is the way we would take the best advantage of our friendship with the United States, not the formal, traditional aid model, which has not worked out quite well.
Which, of course, we know that current government is very progressive, business-minded people, right? I'm not going to politics. I'll focus on the business side. So of all the 30 members, including Pepsi, Coke, and all those names I just mentioned, after we finished 2 days of meeting with the ministers, finance, commerce, and foreign minister, and of course, lunch with Prime Minister, at the lunch, the chairman, who's Miles Young, who just retired of the Business Council, he said to Prime Minister that, you know, Mr. Prime Minister, this council, everyone pledges to invest $2 billion more in Pakistan just by expanding their operation and build more bigger infrastructure. So that was quite encouraging to see from the American CEO's perspective what they saw in Pakistan. So this is exactly what I'm all about Pakistan. I am a most eternal optimist. I always see, like Parvez Lodi, like Shoaib, who are my dear colleagues who do a lot of work in Pakistan, I always see one thing, and it is a bright picture of Pakistan. So if I get too excited, please accept my passion. I learned one thing in my first job, that was dreams do come true. Dreams do come true only if you know how to dream. So I'm still a dreamer. Also, the advantage in Pakistan is the diversity. Tremendous diversity. Female education are growing. We have 33% female employees. One big factor, which you just mentioned, sir, is the 60% of the population is under 30. That is incredible future growth engine, so robust. I have 80% youngsters in that age group. They're hungry, they have energy, they have drive to succeed. They will take this country forward in a most positive way. Economy turnaround, you just heard about it. I mean, everywhere you see, Bloomberg, Barron's, Wall Street Journal, they're talking about Pakistan. Chinese just invested 40% in the stock exchange. 40%. They bought 40% of Pakistan stock exchange. Just think about it. We were given opportunity, let's create for others. It's better than charity. Give them employment. That's my story. Thank you.
जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है। नाज़रीन, ईद का प्रोग्राम बड़े ज़ोर शोर से जारी है। उसको भी पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स ऑर्गेनाइज कर रहा है, जिसमें रंगारंग प्रोग्राम होगा, गिफ्ट एक्सचेंज होगा, हल्ला गुल्ला होगा और ऑफ कोर्स करियोकी सिंगिंग होगी, जिसमें आपको दावत है कि आप आएँ गाएँ, और थोड़े से मुकाबले भी होंगे, गिफ्ट एक्सचेंज होगा। ये सब कुछ हो रहा है और इसमें मारूफ सिंगर लॉस एंजलिस के चरणजीत सिंह अपने फ़न का भरपूर मुजाहरा करेंगे। तो देख रहे हैं ये नंबर, इन पर रब्ता कायम कीजिए और अपने टिकट अभी से बुक करा लें, क्योंकि सीट्स आर लिमिटेड। जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है। आ रहा है बड़ी धूमधाम से पहली बार लॉस एंजलिस की तारीख में द किंग ऑफ म्यूजिक, द आरिफ लाहौर, जुगनी का बादशाह। पाकिस्तान की 70 साल आज़ादी के मौके पे सफीर पाकिस्तान और पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स की फखरिया पेशकश 12 अगस्त बरोज हफ्ता। आज ही कॉल करें अपने बूथ की बुकिंग के लिए, एडवर्टाइजिंग और स्पॉन्सरशिप के लिए। पेश करते हैं पाकिस्तान अमेरिकन चैम्बर ऑफ कॉमर्स और सफीर पाकिस्तान, द किंग ऑफ म्यूजिक, द आरिफ लाहौर।
Take control of your pain. Visit us at the Imperial Valley Surgery Center. We specialize in dizziness, blurred vision, slurred speech, difficulty walking, confusion, weakness, numbness, seizures, headaches, fibromyalgia, pain disorders, neuropathic pain, work-related injuries, acute chronic low back and neck pain. Newly opened Stroke Center. Visit us today in any of our 3 locations or call 760-351-8669. On-site diagnostic testing with same-day results.
शाहनवाज हलाल तंदूरी रेस्टोरेंट का एक और धमाका, खुला डुल्ला ओपन बारबेक्यू हर इतवार को पाइनएप्पल अवार्ड लिटिल इंडिया में जरूर जाइए। शाहनवाज का ओपन बारबेक्यू जूसी, मजेदार, चटखारेदार, जरूर जाइए और अपनी फैमिली को भी ले जाइए। ओपन बारबेक्यू एट शाहनवाज हलाल तंदूरी रेस्टोरेंट। जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है। नाज़रीन, आप देख रहे हैं अपना पसंदीदा प्रोग्राम सफीर पाकिस्तान, आपकी आवाज़ और आपकी पहचान और राब्तों का नाम ऑफकोर्स सफीर पाकिस्तान। देखते रहिए और हाँ, मोहब्बतें बढ़ाते रहिए, अपने दरमियान यूनिटी रखिए और अपने दरमियान प्यार मोहब्बत रखिए और पाकिस्तान के नाम को बुलंद करते रहिए। इसके साथ ही आपका मेज़बान वक़ील खान आपसे इजाज़त चाहेगा। अल्लाह हाफ़िज़। पाकिस्तान पाइंदाबाद। हर जगह हर पल आपका अपना सफीर पाकिस्तान नजर आता है।